it's a game changer for us. And well, we honestly did not realize what this was gonna open up for us when we brought this to market. The Finish Pro 3D 1623. It's an awesome little machine, and we have further developments happening right now for different sizes and that sort of thing. But the DPI range that it works at is as good as any of the big boys. We can get phenomenal quality coming off that machine. And we're still learning it. We have two of our guys out there learning that machine right now, and we're finding out things it can do that we had no idea about at Printing United.
What's up, everyone? It's Eric Vessels with Taktiful. Welcome back to another episode of Taktiful Tuesdays. This is the show where we really dig into art, strategy, and business behind digital embellishment and explore how creativity meets technology in the print industry. We've had a lot of innovators, disruptors, and those who kind of quietly shoulder the burden of the big shifts behind the scenes. And today's really no exception. I know there's been a big gap since we've had our last episode. We've had a big thing called Printing United. We ran a tour. So I think I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind. I'm not even sure what number. I never know what number it is. 44, somewhere in that range. But today, somebody I've really been trying to get on the show for a really, really long time, and I'm so glad to have him, Brad Drever, a leader whose work at Skandacor is helping shift the paradigm of finishing and finishing equipment in print. Under his direction, Skandacor has been pushing to make high-impact effects like textured varnish, digital foil, 3D embellishments accessible for more than just the largest print players. We'll dive into Brad's story, how he got here. We'll talk about a lot of stuff. We'll sprinkle a bunch of stuff in, as we always do, but we'll get the full scoop on Brad and Skandacor. Brad, welcome to the show, my man.
Great to be here, Eric. This is exciting day to be alive in the world of print embellishments, isn't it?
It is exciting times indeed. I always say, I preach in a lot of our boot camps, hey guys, we're in the value era. Like, let's go get it. Like, and I think what you guys, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. Don't want to kind of skip to the meat of stuff, but you guys are doing a lot to make it even more accessible to more printers, and we'll definitely dig into that. But before we do, I always like to get the origin story, Brad. Let's kick it off with your journey. What first drew you into this world of print, finishing, and embellishment, and how did you end up being where you're at now at Skandacor? Give us a little bit of background on maybe yourself and the company, to be honest.
Done, yeah, no problem. Yeah, so it's been a very interesting journey, Eric. Grew up on one of those farm boys with ranching in the background, with lots of livestock experience and that sort of thing back as a kid. Anyways, came out of high school, did some college and university courses online. I didn't believe in wasting my time doing the university in person, but anyways, that's another point to talk about. But jumped into the lamination industry as a trade laminating shop here in Saskatchewan, and we started off with out of my garage doing laminating services with one of those old Leadco workhorses. And the automatic trimmer. It was a pretty exciting day when we started that business up. Anyways, we developed that and grew it into using many different types of machines, and found we had kept on having people coming to us saying, hey, can you sell us some film? You sell us a couple rolls of film here and there, and we were buying from the manufacturers, and so we ended up selling film. And it went from there. We ended up selling off the lamination services side of the business, developed what is now Skandacor as a supply business. So initially we were supplying just the consumables.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
Yeah, just consumables, and then we jumped into doing some equipment and started, kind of the Me Too type of stuff, selling everybody else's equipment that, even putting our name on it and whatnot. And then we realized that there's big gaps in the industry, big gaps in the market. So we had to go out and develop some of our own equipment. And that's the exciting part of where I feel, where we're at now, and what we can bring into the industry is equipment that is geared towards those digital print shops that are you might say not the big commercial shops that are, that they have the cash to afford the big equipment, the big gear.
Yeah. So you literally started out of a garage. That's
Started out of a garage in my parents' garage.
See, what's funny is like we've been working, like Tactful and Skandacor have been working with each other for a long time, but I don't uncover these nuggets until I do a podcast. Like I always learn something on these podcasts, which is part of what I really love. So started in the garage, pretty early age, pretty early on in your life, and then developed that into a consumables business, and then started to make equipment. I mean, obviously you have a consumable business that goes along with your equipment today. But one thing you've described digital embellishment as a way to unlock value for print shops that might not have had access to high-end finishing before. What were the key barriers that you saw, and how have you guys worked to break those down?
I guess probably the biggest barrier we saw was there was equipment that was unautomated, not very user friendly, that could be used in the smaller digital print world. When I say smaller, I'm talking about shops with 50 up to 50 staff or more.
Right.
But we're not talking the 300 person shops. We're
Right.
talking the smaller trade or the smaller digital shops that are working, you might say, to bring value to their clients with automation, some form of automation, so they don't have to, so they're the you might say the journey to get that product finished is actually turns good profits for the client and turns really good outputs that is comparable with what the big equipment's doing.
Sure.
And we know it. We know the big equipment. We've seen it. We've seen it. You've seen it, and it's
Yep.
awesome stuff. But not
Yeah.
everybody can afford it. Not every print shop can afford it, and that's what we're trying to do is bring that.
So tell me a little bit about like kind of your line of equipment. Like I know you guys still have big in laminating. Obviously, sleeking is an option there for toner devices in the smaller shops. But you recently also acquired another company with a full range of equipment as well. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I know that's very interesting. What's happened there? I guess what really drove us, Eric, was we had during the COVID years we had a lot of supply issues. We had issues with getting product as all did,
Yeah.
and we looked at our whole supply chain. We said, you know what, we need to secure it. We need to make it better. And one of the things we looked at, what drew us to purchasing this company in Barcelona, Spain, Bagel Systems.
Bagel. Yeah.
Bagel, yeah, and we've been working with them for a number of years. Awesome vendor, great resource for new developments for us. And they came to us and said, you know what, we need to partner up. And we said, yeah, we do too. We need you as part of our partner, as a partner of ours. And anyways, it ended up that we purchased the business, Bagel, and the Bagel team has entirely stayed on with us, which is pretty awesome.
Oh,
The,
that is
the,
pretty awesome.
the old owners have stayed on with us. They are making stuff happen for us, and it's soon to be rebranded as part of our Skandacor branding. But it's an exciting part because we are now not only bringing out our own equipment, we're actually the manufacturer of it. We're actually can we can partner with some of the some of the best manufacturers of components and that sort of thing. I mean, one of our
So Bagel. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Bagel had a manufacturing component that maybe Skandacor didn't inherently have, and that was part of what you were
100%,
acquiring. Okay.
100%, Eric. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's exactly right. We were doing our own product development. We had our own engineers on staff previously, but now we've closed that as part of the supply chain.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Just adds more product to your lineup. And I know we were just with you guys at Printing United and did kind of a bit of a booth tour video, and people got to see everything. But one of the most exciting things, Brad, and I want to dig into this now, is getting back to this conversation of making it more accessible to some of the smaller printers, some of the high-end looking digital embellishments, right? You announced the new machine at the show, and I know Kevin is probably more excited about this darn thing than you guys are. The Finish Pro 3D 1623. It's been described as a game changer. It's the world's first ultra affordable inkjet embellishment press. So this is getting into new territory for you guys. But this sucker is like under $65,000. And when we think about inkjet digital embellishment press, we immediately go to like 3, 4, 500,000 up to like $1 million machines to get that in your shop. But you guys are enabling it to happen for smaller shops. Obviously, not going to be quite as fast, but if you look at the output, if you saw it at Printing United, and if you didn't, you need to check this guy out. So talk about making that move and kind of what space that gets you in, because it's not just a game changer for the industry in terms of getting this technology into smaller print shops, but it's a game changer for Skandacor, man.
Oh, 100%. It really is, Eric. It's a game changer for us. And well, we honestly did not realize what this was gonna open up for us when we brought this to market. The Finish Pro 3D 1623. It's an awesome little machine, and we have further developments happening right now for different sizes and that sort of thing. But that unit, the DPI range that it works at is as good as any of the big boys. We can get phenomenal quality coming off that machine, and we're still learning it. We have 2 of our guys out there learning that machine right now, and we're finding out things it can do that we had no idea about at Printing United. It's blowing us away.
And
And
the 1623, just for, so people know, that designates the size, that 16 by 23 sheet. And obviously, Finish Pro 3D is talking about being able to layer varnish to get that tactile feel. But yeah, I mean, the samples that I saw at Printing United was just like, whoa! It definitely is reaching the level with what you can do with varnish on the inkjet side, like with those higher end machines. Now, obviously, everybody will talk about the downside if it's a lot slower, right? But to get into this game for 50, 60 grand, even if you're doing really short run, slower stuff, it starts to get you into that high value. We're in the value era of digital embellishment, guys. It gets you into that high value, high ROI stuff, so that you can then potentially invest in faster equipment and higher end equipment, right? So I see
100%.
this, and I hate to say it this way, and I know Kevin uses this in one of our presentations in terms of samples. It's almost like a gateway drug for digital embellishment presses. It's like,
No, it is.
we're gonna get you started, man, and you're gonna get addicted, and you're gonna be doing the heck out of this stuff.
And I hope the other guys with selling the big machines sell a whole lot more machines because of this. Because at the end of the
100%.
day, we're not
100%.
trying to compete in that area. We're just trying to bring this to the small shops.
Of course, and you make a great point, Brad. Like, you can't compete with those guys, right? Because they're running at phenomenal speeds, high output. They've got an Indigo ahead of it, and they're cranking it out, right? But this is gonna be that entryway to kind of. You're exactly right, and I'm glad you said that, because I don't think people need to look at it as like, oh, it's a competitor undercutting price. It's not. It's filling a void, just like you said at the beginning. It's filling a void in the marketplace by having that category of digital embellishment inkjet press. And I think it's, I mean, you know how we feel. We've been talking about it for a while. We're excited at Taktiful that it's there, that we can get this into printers that maybe, would be priced out of the game with some of the MGIs or the Skodexes or Harrison Brunos, and then maybe upgrade to those big guys someday. So phenomenal outlook and phenomenal way to look at it. And I'm so excited for you guys to have it. And it was fun seeing it at Printing United and seeing what was coming off of that darn thing. And hopefully you got a lot of eyeballs on it. So I wanted to ask you, Brad, in your view, when a client asks for a premium finish, what do you think are the most important factors beyond just equipment to deliver that experience? For example, like design, collaboration, workflow, materials, training, like what all has to go into that? Because it can't just be, here, buy this thing and now you can do it, right? You, like you said, even your team is having to understand the full capability of this new machine you have. So what do you think are the most important factors behind giving the end client, the buyers of print, that premium finish?
That's an awesome question, Eric, because this is what we see every day, all day, is we can sell gear. People, we have companies that can buy gear, but if there's not the right implementation of what that gear will do for you, it'll
Yeah,
sit there and just be collecting dust.
yeah,
And it does us no good, it does our clients no good. It is honestly, it's probably the biggest thing that we see out there is to make sure that the machine is very, very well, that there's well, the operators are trained on it really well, but more importantly, that the designers in the business themselves understand what they can do with it,
yeah.
understand how to design with it, and that's still a gap I think out there that I think you guys at Taktiful are working to try and help out on and is filling is the design side for embellishments, which that is a huge it's a huge item. We can sell 3D printers, we can sell lamination, we can sell digital foiling machines or Sleek Pro machines, but if you don't understand where to put the stuff and how to use it, you're not going to make that print jump off the page. In contrast, Eric, we have clients currently that's the most profitable spot of their business, and they tell us this all the time.
Of
It's a
course.
it's a small spot of their business, a small area within their business, and it is driving the most. It's driving the highest profits
Yeah.
because their printers are great at printing. They're great at what they do, and just adding this makes them even better.
Yeah, I think it's for me, like when I consider that question or when I thought about that question, it's you've got to find a way. And you mentioned designers, but there are some printers that we encounter that don't have designers in house that are familiar with digital embellishment. Of course, we're trying to educate that, but it goes beyond that. Sometimes those printers are just getting jobs that are already designed, right? So we got to go further upstream to get those brands and those companies and those people who are print buyers. They're already designing what they want to get them to think design for digital embellishment, right? To get them to think, what does that 1623 add, and how could I maybe do a layer? Oh yeah, this coffee cup could, like, have varnish right here that would make it look like coffee or something. Get them to start ideating downstream to what the equipment can do, right? Because that's where the gap is at. And as you said, we continue to try to do that, and we continue to actually try with partners. We work closely with you guys to help you guys do that with your end customers. So great, good stuff.
No, that's excellent, Eric. And what you were saying is to get the actual print buyers. Um,
Yeah,
you might
thinking
say
about it,
they need to be educated.
at least
And
thinking about it.
you know what? Yeah, thinking about it, educated, because one of the things that we see, and you say the same thing, I'm sure, is give them something they can feel. Give them they need samples.
And
You
you know
can
what they're going to
never
ask as
get
soon
enough
as they feel
samples.
it, Brad? What do they ask? The designer. They're going to
Yeah,
ask, "How do I do this?
how do I do this?
How can I do this?" Yeah.
The biggest Kevin, just a little story on the side here, but we've done some new business cards that were kind of cool, multi-layered, because we have a gluing machine we just brought out as
Oh,
well for.
the weapon card you gave me.
Yeah, that thing.
I felt like I could use it as a Chinese throwing star. That thing was so thick.
But the problem with it is, Eric, is if you give them to the client prior to you having speaking with them, they're sitting there distracted the whole time trying to feel what's happened with that card. And you know what? The impression, the impact, and that's what print's all about, is impact. The impact that embellishments give is, yeah, it just isn't. There's nothing else out there um, that can replace it in the print industry.
Yeah. Well, we teach all the time in our boot camps and in a lot of the little dog and pony talks that we do, all over the world, is you're engaging another sense. And the more senses that you can engage in a person, the higher impact. There's a lot of psychology around this stuff, right? So if you can get them to see it, that's step one. If you can get them to feel it, that's step two. And those two things kind of psychologically lock them into that piece, and they now have an emotional connection that they wouldn't otherwise have, right? So in your example, I think you have you do a really cool sample of like a car. Just that car looks really hella cool, just CMYK, like printed, it like looks awesome, right? But then when you put varnish over the silver bumpers, like it's bonkers. Like you're like, whoa, wait, and that's what we want to get out of this stuff. And so I think it's exciting that you guys are making this more available, downstream in the industry. It's exciting for us because we've had this. I think the industry's had this. Digital embellishment seemed really, really super expensive and hard to get into, right? And there wasn't really that lower end category for folks, and now there is. So I think it's amazing. But as we always do, Taktiful Tuesdays, we're going to step back from business for a minute. We're going to get into some other stuff outside of like all this cool stuff that you're doing. What's something you find yourself geeking out on? Hobbies, things you do in your off time. Do you have off time? You're hard to get a hold of, so you probably don't have a whole lot of off time. But like anything that like there's a passion for you outside of this print and embellishment thing.
How much time you got, Eric?
I got a lot, all the time you need. These are long format podcasts, my man.
No, Eric. One of the things I'm extremely passionate about and been with it is the educational side of things, on educating students at young ages, and we have part of a private schooling system. Not exactly just because of being private to get out of the public. It's a schooling system that is geared towards self-directed learners, making persons become. We're trying to get rid of the classroom's environment, and it's kind of like what we're doing in print, blowing the thing up and making things look awesome. And we're doing this in some part of this organization, been there for many years. Travel all around North America, but a little bit around the globe as well. Meeting people, going to educational conferences, showcasing how students can become the person they really can be.
Interesting. It wouldn't happen to you. Does it use any Montessori methods?
It's similar. It's similar. Okay. It's self-directed learning is what it's called.
Okay.
SDL schooling system. So it's somewhat Montessori, but it's more than that. It is the teacher is the guide on the side is how we talk it.
Oh man,
she's no longer.
That's so cool because all three of my kids went to preschool that was Montessori based.
Yeah.
And what I found was that and for people that don't know a whole lot about Montessori educational systems, we won't bore you with the whole thing, but it's basically very self-directed. It's basically the teacher guides whatever the child is gravitated towards. That's what they're allowed to do and learn, and they're very activity based, and the teacher just sort of fosters that excitement about whatever that thing is, and all the kids are kind of different. And I watched all of my kids when they got into that school system that you talk about, and I agree with you. It's very much geared towards kind of past things that we needed. We were educating people to learn how to work in a factory, so it was very regimented and very, it wasn't very, I'm a creative type brain, so although I got good grades, I hated most every minute of being in school because I wasn't allowed to have that freedom to do. But that's exciting, man. So you're involved at a pretty high level in the organization of trying to change educational systems to be more self-directed and student-centered.
100%. And what you said, Eric, is so correct. It's so interesting. Um, creative students that are not the in the box students that actually have some of the most awesomest potential in society today are not getting developed in the regular schooling systems because they're it's they're trying to make it one size fits all. In the they have the big classrooms and they have the desks all lined up and the teacher at the front, and it's like hey, education is not that. Our kids are born outside the box, and we're trying to we for the next 18 years we're trying to put them back into a box. It doesn't work. It does not work. You got to give them the ability to become who they really can be, what they really can become.
Well, I think
And
it's interesting that you say that because I'm involved in, and I don't think we've done one with you guys, but I do a lot of these things in our boot camps called design sprint workshops.
yeah,
And part of doing a good workshop is being a facilitator, and part of being a really good facilitator is being on the side. Like you don't inject yourself so much. You let the group of people do it. And it sounds like to me that teachers in your SDL method are more facilitators than they are
100%.
knowledge regurgitators. I hate that's a bad word, but you know
Oh
what I
no,
mean.
it is 100%. It is,
Well,
and
that's interesting. So you give a lot of your time for that. That's kind of makes up a lot of your volunteer work. Did that come out of your personal experience, or just seeing something that
yeah,
you
it
thought was sort of broken, or how'd that come about?
yeah, no, it definitely personal experience. So I was one of those kids that wasn't a great reader, wasn't a great. I had an awesome teacher, and it was a teacher that was someone that you might call her a magic weaver. She actually instilled the love of learning into me,
Oh,
and
that's
the love of reading, and I was one of those guys that just didn't catch it. And it still gives me goosebumps to talk about it, Eric,
giving
because
me goosebumps, man.
it is honestly, it's one of those persons in your life that has a huge impact on you. And I came out of that and I was like, you know what? The reason why is because, yeah, I got pulled out into it. I was pulled out of the main class and put into this other class with a bunch of us that were, you might say, struggling
Right,
students.
right.
And this staff member made us strugglers feel like it was a significant privilege to be there, and we found it because she
Oh, how
honestly
amazing!
made
How
us
amazing is that? Hey guys, you're not slow students. You're honor students. Let's go.
exactly. And I probably wasn't the smartest guy on the block, but anyways, education took a completely different look to me,
Oh,
and
that's amazing.
that was an awesome experience in the public system. I went through the public system, and yeah, they did a great job, and it total kudos to them, and that drew me to this other way of learning is because hey, there's so much potential with our students.
Well, I don't think, Brad, I don't think you can find a better way to give back than to use your own experience to find something that can be improved for younger people as they're coming up. I don't think you can possibly find a better way to give back. And I love that came out of this. I know we're supposed to be talking about everybody knows that watches this show towards the about halfway point on. I try to dig into who the person is, and it's one of the lovely things about Taktiful Tuesdays that I really enjoy. So, first of all, thank you for opening up and sharing a little bit about that. But before we go, I want to ask two things. Did you have a turning point kind of in your career, like was like a go no go decision where you realized, yeah, this is here we go, and tell us a little bit about that. And was there anybody that kind of inspired you in your career? Because they're like teachers, there always seems to be that
Yeah,
person in business that kind of inspires you.
that's yeah. Eric definitely had that point. I might say it was a extremely I might say was a very low moment. I really got down to I might say the bedrock, and analyzing what am I doing, where am I at, what's happening in my business life, and you might say just everything in every area, what's happening. And there was a some business leaders that I knew that good friends with that had that were owners of some larger businesses, and I sat down and chatted with them one day, and there's three of them. We sat around and I said, hey, can I just get your time for an hour? And we ended up there for 4 hours just chatting. And they said they gave me the courage to go for it. They said, you know what? Yeah, you've got some good things going on in this little business, and you're kind of this little trade lamination business, and there's some good things going on, and you there's doors that need to be opened. And they said, you know what? They didn't give me a whole bunch of cash or anything like that, but they gave me the courage to go for it.
Oh,
And we had the people around us. I had awesome staff. We had an
you
awesome
do.
team around us. And
No, and
but
still
it's
do.
yeah, but that's what makes that they make this business look really good. And that is yeah.
That's
It was a
amazing.
moment.
Well,
It was a moment that I obviously yeah, some sleepless nights, Eric. But
hey, listen, man,
it
I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I've been through it. We won't go. But as the life of the entrepreneur is just like, I think a lot of times courage can be more important than cash at some moments in your business. Obviously, struggling to keep cash flow, and you may have to have investors at one point in time or whatever, but the courage to go for it, the courage to see that opportunity. And Brad, I'm just going to tell you, as an outside observer, and not totally outside because we do work with you guys in a partnership with Taktiful and Skandacor, but as an observer of what you're doing, you have built a great business that's continuing to open up doors with the 1623. That whole conversation we had, you're continuing to push it. I see lots of great people around you. What a great freaking story. I love everything about it, and I'm so glad that I'm here. It usually 30 minutes. I have no idea how 30 minutes has gone by this quickly, but to learn a little bit more about you and get some context, I think is going to be really helpful for everyone who encounters Skandacor or Brad or anybody else on your team. So I'm so thankful for you finally scheduling some time with me, brother. It's been a great time doing the interview, and thanks for being on Taktiful Tuesdays, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Eric. It's
Thanks.
been excellent working with Tactical. Awesome team there. And yeah, thank you very much. Really
Thanks,
appreciate it.
buddy. All right,
Thank
see
you.
you.
Bye bye.